Welcome back to World Insight. We continue this program in the Atlantic Ocean. 16 cabin crew, 212 passengers from 32 nationalities. 2 weeks ago, a plane crash ended all of their lives. 9 of those victims were Chinese. It was Air France's deadliest plane crash in 75 years and the world's worst commercial air accident since 2001. Well, a fortnight on, and all hope of finding any survivors has been reluctantly abandoned. But the recovery work continues to find the real reasons behind this disaster.
A man dreaming of his imminent retirement. A couple on their way to their honeymoon. A group of workers returning from a vacation award. For many, the trip could mark a new beginning. They boarded the Air France flight 447 at the Rio de Janeiro International Airport on May the 31st, expecting to arrive in Paris at noon the next day. But they didn't.
Your attention please. We invite passengers waiting for the Air France flight 447 coming from Rio to proceed at the Air France information desk located at the arrival level of Terminal 2.
4 hours after takeoff, the 4-year-old Airbus with 228 people on board disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean.
The only things which happened after is that we had a succession of information in a short period of time, which were just saying that a number of equipment, components of the aircraft, of the avionic part of the aircraft, were going in fault or were short of information.
It is impossible to say if the malfunctions were the cause of the crash or a side effect of other problems. A crash report demands solid evidence, especially recordings stored in the black boxes. Massive operations are underway to search for debris. Military aircraft, a frigate, and a submarine have been dispatched.
The chance of finding survivors is very small. We have sent boats and planes to the area. We will do everything possible to recover as much as we can of the plane to figure out what happened.
On Tuesday, part of the jet's tail was found floating in the Atlantic Ocean. It showed signs of breaking apart in the air. Experts believe they had a clue to locating the black boxes. The boxes are typically mounted in the rear of an aircraft. They are coated with a bright orange paint. One contains cockpit voice recordings, the other stores instrument data. Each device has battery power to transmit a locating pin, which lasts an estimated 30 days.
This is the pinger. This is the pinger. This is what we are looking for. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But past disasters have led to advances in equipment which give hope for finding out what happened. In 1985, after the crash of Air Indian Flight 182, both of his recorders were recovered 2 weeks from some 2,000 meters below the sea surface. Without the black box, it is impossible to know what role, if any, technical problems played in the crash.
We are now in a race against time. You are aware that the black boxes that contain the only reliable information emit signals for 30 days. We know they are in an area where the ocean bottom reaches 3,000 to 6,000 meters with strong currents.
Finding evidence contained in the flight recorders is proving a monumental task. The situation has prompted debate about how to make black boxes more easily recoverable in the event of an ocean crash. One solution is to configure them to automatically send messages out every 10 minutes or so. But experts say a crash over the sea is very rare, so there has been no pressing need for this. Furthermore, the aviation industry is extremely conservative in accepting new technology. This is partly because the safety record is so good.
65 years ago, we were carrying our members 9 million passengers a year, and we had roughly 900 fatalities. Last year, our members carried 2.2 billion passengers, and we had roughly 510 fatalities.
On Wednesday, a French nuclear submarine, the Emerald, arrived off Brazil to start hunting for the black boxes. It can search a 36 by 36 kilometer zone in a day. If the Emerald does detect the signal, the French scientific research vessel will launch a mini-submarine to retrieve the recorders. But if the black box can't be recovered, investigators will have to focus on maintenance records and a burst of messages sent by the plane just before it disappeared.
We have failure signals from different systems, of which the autopilot was just one. For a start, we shouldn't think that only the autopilot failed. There are other systems which stopped.
Was it the violent weather that caused the plane to crash? Or was it a mechanical failure? A terrorist attack? Or a combination of factors? Theories about the crash have focused on the possibility that pitot airspeed sensors malfunctioned. The pitot are the small probes on the exterior of the fuselage. They gauge the plane's speed by measuring the pressure of air rushing into them. As the plane passed through storms, the sensors may have iced up, feeding wrong data. This might have confused the plane's fly-by-wire computer system and its pilots. Airbus has faced problems with the pitot on its A330 aircraft dating back to at least 2001. French air investigators said that Airbus had detected faulty speed readings on its A330 jets ahead of last week's crash and had recommended clients replace the sensors. But Air France had not acted on the recommendation. On Tuesday, Air France said it was speeding up the replacement of speed sensors on all its Airbus long-haul planes.
The direction of Air France was confirmed this morning. All the Airbus A330 and A340 planes will be repaired, so they leave Paris with at least 2 new pitot speed sensors.
But every plane had 3 speed sensors. Why doesn't Air France repair all of them?
Because, in fact, you have for all the type of aircraft a minimum equipment list. And it's authorized to fly with 1 pitot either not functioning at all.
But what happens if the 2 pitots malfunction at the same time? Doesn't the system need a third to back up? France's chief crash investigator has stressed it is too soon to say if the speed sensors are to blame for the crash. But even the smallest oversight can bring disaster to over 100 people and families around the world. And the airline industry owes it to everyone to do whatever it can to ensure a happy landing.
We remember, but we do finish off with some hope, a happy landing. We can't stress this enough. On Wednesday, another Airbus, this time an A320, experienced engine trouble shortly after taking off. It was forced to make an emergency landing. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but every incident should be a wake-up call for the airline industry. The global economic downturn has decision-makers racking their brains to cut expenses. But when it comes to passenger safety, surely there's little room for negotiation. You're watching World Insight. Coming up next, we'll talk about gay marriage, for better or for worse.
CCTV Sports and Entertainment, the exclusive advertising agency of CCTV9,